Hello and welcome back to the Hungry House Husband Show. Today I have for you a broccoli cheese soup. Now, for those of you who aren't following me on Facebook, first of all, shame on you. Second of all, you would know that my wife has been having some problems with her TMJ in her jaw, and she actually had some cartilage slip in her jaw. So it basically gave her jaw arthritis, if you will. So the doctor's been putting her on a heavy soup diet. So I'm going to go ahead, as long as I'm having to make her soup, I may as well make a video as well. So, with all the ingredients having gone across the screen, let's go ahead and get started. So beginning with our heavy soup stock pot, over medium-high heat, we're going to add our oil. And then once that oil comes to temperature, we're going to go ahead and start making the soup base. So begin by adding in the potatoes. Generally add them first because they need a little longer to cook. On top of that, we can add our celery, our carrots, and the onion as well. Now, the one thing you really don't want to do is walk away from this for too long. You don't want anything to brown. You just want everything to soften up. The heat's probably going to take about 10 minutes. Here we are about 10 to 15 minutes later. I've been stirring it constantly. Don't let it sit for too long. Now you can see that I have an abnormally large amount of vegetables in here. It's because I'm making a double batch. The wife has to have soup for lunch as well at work. So into this, we're going to go ahead and add our broth. As well as the milk, and you can use almond milk if you prefer to keep it vegan, and then as well as adding in the broccoli. Now the broccoli is going to float, so just do the best you can. We're only leaving the broccoli in about 5 minutes or so, just until the chlorophyll starts to open up, and you're going to notice it become super green. At that point, we start the blending. So let this come up to a simmer and we will let it go for 5 minutes. So here we are. It's been about 5 to 7 minutes since it finally reached a simmer. And the color of the broccoli under the broth has changed to be a lot more green than the top. Irregardless, it's still nice and soft and blendable. So at this point, it's your choice. You can take the broccoli out and blend it separately from the rest of the soup in like a blender. I have an immersion blender that I'm using, so I just leave everything in and go at it. Here we are after all the blending. Took about 3 minutes or so to do all of the blending with the immersion blender. Just a lot less hassle than having to clean the actual blender out. At this point, we're going to add our cheese or cheese substitute. Now, my wife, she's a cheeseaholic, so I added a lot of cheese. But you can use this stuff. It's nutritional yeast. It has a very cheesy flavor, but keeps it very vegan. It's very good for you as well. However, my wife prefers cheddar, so I've got some extra sharp cheddar I'm adding in, about a cup or so, and it will melt with the residual heat of the soup. so no need to bring it back to a simmer or anything. If your soup is too thin, a nice cornstarch slurry, equal parts cornstarch and water, about a tablespoon or so, bring it back to a boil and it should thicken up nicely. If it's too thin, add more milk or broth. So there you have it, broccoli cheese soup, with all the vegan options as well. It is gluten-free, very good for you, and I could drink this stuff like Thanksgiving gravy, let me tell you. Now, with all that said, please leave me a like, comment, subscribe. Like me on Facebook, follow me there. I always post a link to this week's video there, as well as you can find in my blog the actual written recipe that you can copy and paste or print or what have you there. So, as always, may your life and your food always have flavor. Bye bye.
Oops.